Hey guys, we're here at Knott's Berry Farm for our 2015 Knott's Scary Farm visual guide. Now as we're shooting this, we're about a month out from opening night, so things may change. Obviously, keep track with us on social media, YouTube, all that stuff, because we'll keep posting updates as we come. But as it stands, we're a couple days out, a couple days past from the big final announcements that Knott's has done. Some exciting things in store. We are ready to walk you around the park. We've got our box of clues, which we have all solved now, but we are one of a handful of groups that was able to get one of these from Knott's Berry Farm to kind of clue into some of the announcements for the other night. So it's fun. We'll show you some stuff as we go and make our way around the park and look at some of those things. Last year we did this visual guide. We got really good feedback on it. People liked it. This is something like our 19th year in a row of coming to Scary Farm. We do a lot of visual guides for conventions and other themed entertainment things. So if this is your first time tuning in, hopefully we do a decent job of giving you an idea of some of the things to expect and things to do as we make our way around the park. So first up, one of the things to consider is getting your Knott's Scary Farm pass. Okay, this is for sale for $80 from general or $70 for those that have the annual pass already. You can have parking on it as well, which is a big savings in general from last year. We use the Scary Farm Pass a lot. It was awesome. You can come all 24 nights for $80, $70. It's an amazing deal, so something to consider there. The other thing we'll talk about as we make our way in is another advantage you can get in terms of getting around the park is the buffet dinner. And the buffet dinner allows you to eat at Mrs. Knott's or in Spurs. You get early access, great food, and that extra, historically it's been a half hour. Everything says it gets you into the park a few minutes before everyone else. Historically it's been about a half hour. You can do a lot in that half hour. We took a group of friends out here last year following the visual guide that we're about to do, or I should say a variation on that for last year's model. We did the buffet. We were done with the entire park by 10 o'clock at night, and we just went and did things over again, got on extra rides, whatever it was, had a good time with that. So we'll kind of take you through, show you all those things, hopefully give you a really good idea of things to expect. Last thing before we make our way into the park is just the consideration of the fright lane and the skeleton key. One big difference with what Knott's Scary Farm does is they do have kind of a front of the line pass, but in addition to that you get the skeleton room key, which allows you access to 5 different experiences that no one else gets. So it is an extra $70-$80 per person, but you do get front of the line all night. If you're coming on one of those busier nights, a Friday, Saturday, or especially as we get closer into October, you may want to, Halloween in October, you may want to consider that, but also it's nice you get that extra experience of being able to go into these opening scenes that set the table for you. They're all new this year, so 5 experiences, definitely something to consider, which will give you an advantage as we make our way through the park. So we're going to talk about things mostly from the perspective to start out of, okay, we've got our buffet, so we're in a half hour early versus not, and then from there we have just kind of a basic plan to take us around the park. So let's get inside the gate, talk infected, open ceremony, and just getting started with Scary Farm 2015. All right, we're inside Knott's Berry Farm now. We're right inside the gates here where you'll come in. One quick note on getting through security. They're very strict with security. Expect metal detectors, expect them to check everything. Don't bring anything that's even partly could be a problem, because otherwise they're going to send you back to your car and you're going to have a long delay there. But do expect very, very thorough checks of you as you come in things. So now as we make our way in, you've got some choices. If you're doing the buffet, you're not going to be out here. You're actually going to be over by Spurs. We'll get to that in the next segment. But if we're making our way in a regular night, we're not doing the buffet or anything, you've got the big opening ceremony right here, which is a lot of fun last year. I'm guessing it's going to be a ton of fun this year. It's a tough thing to miss, but if you're only here one night, you kind of got to consider missing it, because the amount of time that's going to put you behind everybody as they're ready for what really is the equivalent of rope drop, very much like Disneyland. People are going to be running off to the mazes, and it puts you kind of behind them. So you want to start making your way to the various roped areas to get ready to be the first to go out to these mazes. And we'll talk about that strategy. If you can come more than one night though, definitely make sure to hit up that ceremony. That said, before you do anything, once you're inside, make your way right here. Now, if everything is the same as last year, right here is where they'll be handing out the infected time slots. The infected time slots, that is the interactive maze that you go throughout Scary Farm. You get a gun, you get to hunt zombies. It's going to be a long track and a lot of fun things there to check out. So you want to make sure to have your ticket and be ready to know where you're supposed to go in that time. The big thing here is they will run out of tickets early. Now, I don't know if they're going to use a different system than last year in any way. Obviously, we won't know till opening night. But right here, the tickets were out quick. If you didn't get your ticket before open, you very well could be left out later on in the night. Now, they do disperse more tickets at different times, I believe. But again, just get it while you're waiting here. There's going to be all kinds of monsters and fun things going on, but don't forget that. Make your way over here, look for one of the Knott's team members, and get your time slot right then. Now, as we make our way over here, just one other quick thing. If you are doing the buffet, this is where you pick up your infected ticket. So we'll be cutting around because you're going to kind of be behind the scenes. But either way, whether you do the buffet or do not do the buffet, make getting your infected time slot like your #1 priority. It's so much fun. It really was a highlight of 2014 for us. We did it a ton of times, brought our friends. We have friends that are getting season passes for Scary Farm this year purely because of Infected last year. Do not miss out. All right, we're gonna make our way over to Spurs, talk a little bit more about the buffet, and then where to start our search for these mazes on opening night. All right, we're over here at Spurs, right across the way from Ghost Rider. We're going to talk about whether you're doing the buffet dinner or not doing the dinner. Now, either way, the first thing, obviously, we've already talked about in terms of getting ready for mazes. You want to get your infected ticket. So if you ate here at Spurs, awesome. When you're done, grab your infected ticket. The second they drop this early admittance rope, grab your ticket, head back this way. If you don't have this dinner, when you're at the regular rope drop, head this way. Either way, you're going to head this way. Now, the reason why this is different, if you watched our visual guide last year, we had a whole different strategy. Theme Park 101, you want to stay away from things right at the beginning because they get big crowds of everybody coming in the gates going to the first thing they see. This year's a little bit different because there's a bit of a game changer, and that's Paranormal Inc. So last week, we got a box of clues, as we talked about, and it included a few things. Here we have a paranormal investigating business card. You'll note 1973, the opening year of Not Scary Farm. We got a medical bracelet, maybe a mental institution here, and then we got an electromagnetic radiation detector. All fun ghost detecting equipment. And so what Paranormal Inc. is you're going with a group of individuals who are ghost hunters to hunt ghosts, to find the paranormal. What we know about it is it's going to be interactive, it's going to be very immersive, and as a result, it's going to be super cool, we're guessing, but it also may have some capacity issues, meaning anytime you get a large group of people that want to do something, which I'm sure everybody coming to Scary Farm will want to do this, and then you divide it down into smaller chunks, much like Infected, it becomes a thing that's tough to do because it's so popular. You have so many people wanting to do it, and it just is going to take more time than a regular maze. If they're stopping to stage scenes, so there's some aerial maneuvers and things like that to see, guessing it's going to give you a much bigger dose of fun than your traditional walkthrough maze, but as a result, it's going to take more time. So it's a game changer for us. Instead of making our way to the other side of the park first off, we're actually going to stay in this area, and we're going to head directly over to the back gate there, which is where you will have your 4 mazes, actually. Paranormal Inc. is the #1 goal. If you attended last year, then you know it's where Dominion of the Damned is. First things first, go there, get it in, get it done. Now, because it's a more immersive experience, it's probably going to take more time, and that's going to be its whole own experience there. When you get done, you have 3 other mazes right outside the door. You've got Tooth Fairy, Trick or Treat, and Voodoo. Do all 3 of them. You know, we debated, really, we've spent a lot of time thinking about this visual guide and our plan for this year. We debated, you know, should we run from there and head to the back because it's going to get crowded there, but we really think you're going to be so close, it's such a long walk, unless you're going to wait to come back after midnight when things really start to thin out, we'd hit them all right then. So that's going to be our strategy. Paranormal Inc., then we're going to hit Tooth Fairy, Voodoo, Trick or Treat, and then we're getting out of this part of the park to the far other extreme over in that Dead of Winter and Black Magic area. And so let's head over there now. All right, so we finished up with 4 big mazes and experiences on one side of the park. We're making our way all the way over here. Now, there could be a big temptation to jump on Calico Mine Ride for my bloody Clementine. We'll talk more about that next, and wouldn't be a bad decision if you do jump on it. Our theory is that it's better to get further over here if the line is more likely to start stacking up there, and that either way we're going to kind of cut back across there to the Ghost Town streets. So we'll see, but it would be understandable if you saw no line at Calico and you wanted to jump on the ride right then. You are rolling the dice, though, that one of the new mazes, and there's not a ton of brand new mazes this year, but right behind us, Dead of Winter taking the place of Trapped there. It's going to be, we think, a very popular maze. It's going to look very different, bright whites, bright reds, bright colors in general. It's going to stand out. Guessing it's going to be a fan favorite, playing a little bit with the Frozen theme, the Hans Christian Andersen Snow Queen tale, Vikings killing, people trapped in ice tombs, things like that. Sounds like it's going to be a lot of fun. Guessing it's going to be a big hit. Guessing it's going to have long lines. So for us, we're going straight from that corner there after we finish up Trick or Treat, making our way to this side of the park, hitting Dead of Winter, and then behind the Boardwalk Barbecue over here on the other side is Black Magic over in the Accelerator queue, and that would be our next stop. So after we make our way out of Black Magic, we're going to head back over to Calico Mine Ride, which will be my bloody Clementine. So one of the clues we got in our box was this fairly fun and hideous looking cut up, bloody, mutilated rabbit. And so the story of this is basically that Clementine and her father were murdered in there, and now they are walking the halls and the caverns. The coolest thing about this is that there's going to be scare actors running around. In addition, they're going to be using some of the projection technology, so it should be really fun. I mean, we really enjoyed it, just as the witches keep. But that being said, this is really taking to the next level. It's a much scarier experience having the actors run around in there and be hidden away, and the projection stuff looks great during the day in Calico Mine Ride, so I can imagine what it would look like at night in there. Now, in addition to this, as we're in this area, it's a good time just to talk about the two main shows that Knott's has this year. Again, like last year, you've got the Hanging, which will be on the main stage in Calico Square, and that is going to be something to consider. You know, you can always see it from way back over here, so you don't need to be in the front. I mean, there are no seats. It's a little bit of a tough thing with just standing on your feet all the time, but you can sit back here and see things fine, hear all the music, enjoy it just as well. Usually we fit it in where it fits in. You know, when we first are planning things, we know what the show times are. We kind of circle when we think we might be able to hit it, but either way, both shows, Elvira next, we really hit them hopefully after we're done with everything else. They're good resting points, and once the park gets crazy, because let's face it, we're in Southern California, everybody's late to everything. Once you hit around 9 o'clock, that's really when everyone's here. Hopefully we're about done with the park and ready to see shows by that time. That being said, Elvira is going to be a must. Elvira's Asylum over there at the Ghoul Time Theater, the Charles Schultz Theater. She also will have signings like last year, which is a really cool way if you want to meet Elvira, get her autograph. It's $50 purchase from Elvira's boutique across the street there from the show. So after one of the shows, you can check in with her, get her autograph. A great way to meet her and kind of enjoy the whole experience tied together. Definitely hit both shows. They are going to be phenomenal. They're always great. You don't want to miss them. All right, once we're down with Calico, and again, very similar to Infected, these two shows are going to fit in wherever the time slots fit for you, so you got to be a little bit dynamic there. But after Calico, we're going to make our way over and hit some of kind of these modern classics as we make our way to the Ghost Town streets. All right, from Calico Mine Ride, then we're making our way over here to the Ghost Town streets, and next up would be Pinocchio and Forevermore. Forevermore is in the Mystery Lodge Q area, and then Pinocchio right behind me here in the Wilderness Dance Hall. Really have scoped them both out, see if there's any differences in lines there. Definitely you'll find times where the lines lessen as the night goes on, so if they're both bad, I would just try and go get ready for the next Elvira or the next Hanging and kind of take a break there. If they're not bad, hit them then. But they both thin out a lot of this night, because what most people will do is they'll hit that camp area over there where we talked about in the beginning, Paranormal Inc, all of that, then they'll make their way over here next. It's kind of this slow migration, so by the time they're making their way this way, we might be hitting them this way. It might be a good time to hit a show. It might be time to hit our Infected tickets, depending on what time we were dealt there. But either way, both fun mazes, both classics coming back from another year, and you'll be able to check those out and enjoy those. Another thing, though, not to miss as you are here in the Ghost Town Streets area is just simply the Ghost Town Streets. They are the highlight to us of any scare zone anywhere. You can just sit and spend a night, and because we were season pass people for Scary Farm last year, we did spend a lot of our time coming some nights and just eating here and kind of enjoying the look of things. A definite hit also, though, is the Haunt Museum. And the Haunt Museum is open limited hours throughout the year, so hopefully you're able to hit it on other days as well. But you definitely want to tie that into your Scary Farm experience. There's so much history here, and the mythology of Knott's Scary Farm is really what makes it different than any other haunt experience. And so one of the things you really can appreciate is a little bit of the history of the show. Since 1973, they've added so much to the industry, and you can appreciate a little bit of their nice little break area as well. And again, just even sitting in this area and kind of hanging out, seeing the monsters do their thing, incredible sliders, incredible entertainment without even being in a maze. So if things get really bogged down, might be a good time just to kind of relax and enjoy the scenery. All right, from here, we're going to head to our last maze of the night, Gunslingers. All right, so we're wrapping up our journey around Knott's Scary Farm with Gunslinger's Grave. Rethemed this year, Blood Moon Rising. So the Gunslinger has stayed in this town where he's had so many issues, and now he's got issues with werewolves. So he's going to be back for more. Should be a fun little redo to the maze, see what things they add to it, and werewolves are always fun. It's always been a fun maze going through there anyway. But usually we've been able to get in here without too much trouble of line. We like to finish off the night here. Again, if you come over here and it's a big bad line, maybe that's when you make your way again over to one of the shows. It's a nice combo right after Infected, if you can make it, because you're going to be exiting right over here down the way at Camp Snoopy then. So as we're wrapping up the night then, hopefully you have time left over and you have time to enjoy the rest of the night here and make use of it. So another thing in our clue box when Knott sent us out this thing was this awesome graphic that I really hope they make into some sort of a poster or something that we could buy. But immediately, or not immediately, but after a little bit of seeing it, it really looked like these were the 7 deadly sins in these characters. And then sure enough, on the big announcement night, the Green Witch came out with this giant old cart and throwing cards that were very well 7 deadly sins. And so the 7 deadlies are going to be making their way around the park. It sounds like they're very much going to be what the tricksters were in years past. So expect to see some really cool interactive stuff with the witch and the tricksters making their way around. On top of that, we talked about the Ghost Town streets. The Dollmaker is back. If you remember Doll Factory, a very iconic Scary Farm maze, they'll be there. There's so many of the characters that make their way around as scare actors that really have their own role, that have kind of their own personalities and build these big bad characters that are a lot of fun. So as we talked about over in the Ghost Town streets, you know, anytime you have to just sit around and enjoy the art that they have, this, you know, really cool kind of interactive art that they perform out on the streets with their acting, it's awesome to see. It's a really fun thing. By the time you're done here, hopefully it is though around that 10:30, 11-ish area. You got a couple extra hours. You can double up on things. You can check the streets out, grab a bite, whatever it is. Biggest thing as we kind of wrap things up is make sure to have a plan. If you don't like our plan, fine, but have a plan and make sure you're here early. We highly suggest avoiding all rides during your time here because it just eats up time, and you can go check out the rides any other time. If you really want to hit Knott's rides, which we do suggest, pay the $9 a month. It's only 9 months, $9 a month. You could have a pass for the entire 2016 year. Enjoy the rides all the time on days like this where it's not very crowded, rather than spending valuable Scary Farm time in line for rides. You know, think if you're watching this visual, you're a hardcore haunt fan, and I think you're the type of person that wants to get the maximum fun out of that haunt, and you'll do just that. So until Scary Farm comes, we'll see you in line somewhere, or maybe we won't see you in line because you'll be in the fog.